What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Kynric Show, and I'm here today with OZreels, fishing YouTuber, and glad to have you.
Thanks for having me.
A great episode.
Yeah, so let's get into it.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, so you started your channel about a year ago, right?
Yeah. Around that time, started with the Fishing Planet content. That was a dark day.
Yeah.
Days.
Months.
I think I posted for 3 months of that. It was not good. Imagine trying to spend 4 hours editing a video in 2p. 2 FPS, if I'm lucky.
A frame per second.
A frame per second. And then I'm just like, you know what, I'm done. I'm just going to go ahead and start recording actual fishing because I just started getting into it.
Yeah.
I was still catching bluegill. That's all I could catch. All I knew is that if I put a power egg on a hook and dropped it into the lake into a dark hole, that I would pull out a bluegill.
Yeah.
And then I learned about salmon eggs, could put that on there. And then it really started catching some bass and some trout.
Yeah.
I think catching a trout was the first time I was just like, I really like this. This is fun.
Yeah.
So I gotten into bigger fish at that point. Because I was like, bluegill are easy to catch.
Yeah.
It's fun, but it's like, you gotta start bass fishing.
Yeah.
I had seen him in August of that year catch a 3-pound bass, and I was like,
oh, wow. Yeah.
oh, that's a good fish. And I lost it while I was trying to net it. That would have been his PB bass, but he hadn't been fishing that much. He fished in Northern California this entire time, so he never really did bass fishing. So.
Oh. Yeah, he did like...
Yeah, but later that year, he ended up catching like bigger fish.
Oh, nice.
So... I started getting into it, started with trout, caught a trout one day, and I caught 7 trout the first time I'd gone trout fishing.
Oh, wow. 7?
7.
The first trip?
On a power egg. My dad caught nothing.
Was he using the power egg, though?
He was.
Oh.
He was using literally the exact same thing as me. Same area, and I was the only one who caught
That's whenever you found out that you had your...
That's not the fishing YouTuber magic.
Yeah.
So, I was, so the same day, it was a second trout, so I already caught one. I was so happy because I had this little ultralight rod that our friends gave me.
Yeah.
I was like, I love this rod.
Yeah.
The fish felt like massive.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a shark.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It was like a pound trout. But I had reeled the second time. So the second time I had caught a trout, so I got it on the hook. I was reeling it in. I was like, it's gonna be a big one. Feels like a big one. The rod's like. So I had the Minecraft drown sound there for a second. Like really get in, and it gets off the power egg, which usually I hook them way deep in the throat.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use circle hooks this year if I bait fish because it's really hard whenever you go fishing.
What
every
hooks were you
single day.
using?
I was using basic bait holder hooks because
Yeah.
we'd go fishing every day, so you can imagine how hard it was to eat 3 trout per day. So we had started doing catch and release, but we just couldn't because they'd swallow it. So that always sucked.
3 trout a day that you ate.
Yeah, it was bad between my dad and I. It was a lot of trout.
Meals, like you had some trout with your eggs.
No, like we'd eat
Cereal.
them as soon as we got back.
Oh.
3 full trout.
Wow.
And now I've learned how to perfect the recipe to make it.
Oh yeah, I remember that. You were making like trout street
Everything.
tacos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything that you could. Trout burgers.
Oh, we don't talk about those.
Wow.
But yeah, I was reeling this fish in, and it got off the power eggs, and it put it that way.
Yeah.
And I jumped in the water after it. Keep in mind, it's freezing. It was November. Yeah. It had just been like 20. So I'm jumping in this water, and all this dude sitting next to me, my dad, just see me just this trout, and I'm just fighting.
You're just like dive into the water. You're just like fighting.
Oh yeah, this trout, I'd come out with bloody nose, black eye. No, that didn't happen. But I can hold this trout, hold it up in the water, I'm like, I won! And this dude sitting next to me, he's like, I've been fishing this lake for 35 years. I've never seen that before. I felt like,
You're like, I'm a fishing YouTuber, that's why.
Okay. Yeah, and I got pictures of those fish. I'll put it up, here or something, or there. How about right here? How about just right here?
Right here.
So that was a successful fishing day. I came back soaked though, and I still, after that second trout, proceeded to catch.
Yeah.
5 more?
Wow.
Yeah, 5 more.
Nice. So that was whenever it was just hit you like, all right, this is my thing.
Yeah, and then we need to talk about bass fishing. So,
Okay.
trout season, it went all the way to June.
So yeah,
and I
trout.
pretty much cut off.
So did you go like bluegill then trout, or did
Bass.
you went bluegill bass trout?
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And I discovered my love for the spoon, which is the best lure ever made, by the way. Whenever I went to go catfishing at Lake at Atlanta. I know you've got PTSD with that lake.
Put up a picture here.
I think that was old Kynric
That was
YouTube channel. I don't think you still have the video. But
No, actually, I do. I like
You
went
do?
back. Yeah, I still have it like back down in my community page. Like, there's still the pictures.
yeah,
that I
it
have
was.
from that. But we never used that video because we were like,
we were.
and it was like Shrek's swamp
We didn't catch
in there.
anything anyway.
I don't think anything lived in there. Okay, the
I've
water was
not
like
gone back once since.
the
then.
water was
That
like
bad.
negative
And we
20
went and-
degrees.
Got
it was all,
coffee
like,
and stuff. I was like, we were freezing. I'm like, dude, let's just go get coffee because I am dying right
Yeah.
now. So, yeah, that was cold.
Yeah, it
But
was
I went
not a
there.
good trip.
Guess what? We didn't catch anything. So we go back and I was like, do you want to go trout fishing? I'm like, okay, might as well.
Yeah.
So,
Make myself feel better about the day.
I grabbed my dad's spin cast rod and
Mm-hmm.
reel, and I put on a spoon. I was like, what is this? I don't know what this is. It probably sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So I throw it on there. I cast it out. First cast, I catch this. I catch this trout. I'll put it on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Or he'll put it on screen. I'll send you the picture. But it was a big trout, and that day I knew I was like really sick. I think I had like 104 fever.
Ooh.
It was really bad. So being outside really helped. When I got back, I had like a 101. So it went down. But I caught PB trout, and it's like, why aren't you freaking out? That thing's massive. I'm like, that's a trout.
I'm a fishing YouTuber.
Because my brain was melting. That's fine. But it's a trout. So that day I caught, I think 6.
Yeah.
I had my GoPro on me, but it died. As soon as I started...
That sucks. Is those things die so fast?
It did, so I bought more batteries for it now.
Nice.
Yeah, big bro. But that day, I really started getting to the spoon fishing. I'm like, why does it just feel like whenever I'll reel in and I'll just feel like a truck? Just like immediate stop.
Yeah.
And then I fished for trout until June with the spoon.
Yeah.
I was fishing that one day, the one episode, I think it was trout season episode 2. Yeah, I caught like 14 trout that day.
14.
14, 15. It was
Trout.
a lot.
In all. Like,
On the spoon.
one day.
Yeah, that
Spoon.
one video. And there's that one dude there. I made a short on it. Yeah, but I didn't have I thought I had the GoPro recording, but it must have died or something. So I walk over there, and this dude's just like, how are you catching all these trout?
Yeah.
Because I can't catch anything. And
Okay,
I'm-
well, so continuing after that, for watchers out there and listeners that maybe are interested in getting into fishing, what would you tell them now in trout season? What are like the tips that you gave that guy and that you'd give them?
well, I gave this dude a spoon. So I literally gave him a spoon.
Yeah.
And he caught a 3-4 pound trout on that.
The spoon is just like
But that was the only fish he caught that day. But I would have gladly traded 15 trout for a 3-4 pounder.
I mean, yeah.
This thing was huge, just like this big.
Jeez.
And on this like little spoon. And I mean we just let him keep it after that. And I thought I had my GoPro on, but it must have not kept that footage or something. Because I know I was dealing with corruption with my SD card. So I ended up just buying a new SD card. Like one with a lot of capacity and a reliable
SD
brand.
cards are
SanDisk
like
is pretty reliable. I was using the
Yeah,
Walmart brand.
that's
and,
what I use.
Do not use Walmart brand.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to that, 'cause every single time I used one of their SD cards, get corrupted.
Mm-hmm.
So I just bought a SanDisk. Okay, might as well just spend extra money.
Yeah.
It definitely was.
I mean,
worth
that's
it.
what I use. And
I've
they're
not
like-
had a single corrupted video since.
Yeah.
And I lost a ton of footage, ton of videos based on that. I went to when I was fishing Missouri with Ryder. Oh, it was like airsoft at his pond. We were. I brought the GoPro and just numerous videos were just corrupted.
Yeah.
Several fish. That's why it was probably my most boring video I've ever made. Caught like tons of fish, but all of it got corrupted. I was like, okay, might as well post highlights of it anyway.
Yeah.
And so that was that. Dealing with a lot of corruption and a lot of GoPro problems, a lot of equipment
Yeah.
failure through getting into YouTube.
And it's so hard whenever you're using a GoPro because it's not like you're holding it like this. Like if something happens, you don't know. It's either on your head or it's on your chest. And you
Yeah.
can't really see the screen either way.
Yeah, so I'm using a GoPro 3.
A 3.
F3. And that thing's still 1080p, 60 FPS. I can make it go to 4K.
Like, yeah, I mean,
But I just don't want to do 4K because it's just so
it
extra.
dies. It's the space and the size.
Yeah.
And just how fast it sucks your battery.
Yeah. And then we get into the bass fishing. Things just like spontaneously moved.
Disrespect.
Go into the bass fishing era. So I go bass fishing, and I'm casting at a crankbait. I got my first spinning rod.
Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And guess what? I'm spinning this thing, and this bass jumps out of the water, bites the crankbait. I set that hook.
Yeah.
And it comes off. So I didn't end up actually
That's the
getting
thing.
in a bass.
I don't know how bass do that. They get off so easily. Like,
And I had never used. I mean, I got so many bites where they'd stay on. They just come off every single time. And I actually landed my first bass in Arkansas. Like I'd caught bass in Colorado.
Yeah.
Before that was before I was really into fishing. It's like private pond. I caught one on a hook. Just a hook.
just
Dropped in the water. It was like 3 pounds.
Oh.
It was.
Dang. I mean, that's...
Yeah, but I don't really count private ponds as PBs. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, you can farm those bass to be 15 pounds. That's nothing special at that point.
I mean, they've just been sitting in there for, like...
Eating nothing.
Ever.
Except for, like, crustaceans.
Yeah.
But I actually caught my first bass in Arkansas. Back in one of my videos here, it should have one that says how to catch bass, top 3 ways.
Yeah.
That was my first bass I caught in Arkansas. So,
Really?
But I had caught bass and other things before. It's not like they didn't work. So I never landed one until then. And then after that, it was just bass after bass.
Yeah.
I caught probably this year 70 to 100 bass.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like for real. Like, that's like your legit estimate.
That's
70 to 100.
maybe more.
I know exactly how many bass I've caught. It's 2.
Yeah. But you haven't really, started.
I'm not.
Yeah, both of me too.
Yeah.
The biggest bass I caught this year, with an estimate, my scale was all glitching out, and it said 2 pounds. This bass was not 2 pounds. It was, I don't know, I would say it was probably 3-4.
Yeah.
I caught it at Lake Avalon.
Yeah.
And I have the short of it.
Yeah, you guys can go check it out.
And that was a pretty big fish.
Yeah.
I was using a new reel I'd never used before. So now we get into the bait casters. So I moved from spinning reels. I'm like, I want to learn how to use a bait caster. I was super against them because I thought they were super pointless. It's like, okay, spinning reels are super versatile. You can use them for just about anything. But bait casters, they're just like, they're bait casters. You can use them for bass, But I was like, you know what? They're stylish. They're expensive. And they look cool.
Yeah.
So I bought one. I didn't just buy one. I bought 3 of them. So, got my first one for Christmas. It was an Abu Garcia Ambassador 6600 SX reel, I think.
Wow.
It was $100, 110 or something.
Dang.
But I realized it was way too heavy and it was a saltwater reel.
Oh.
And I didn't have anything to do it, so I wasn't able to use that until I started catfishing. So I ended up buying I didn't end up buying it until later. I bought it for my dad after I broke his other one. But I was using this Abu Garcia Black Max, and that's when I started getting into bait casters, teaching myself. It actually had no tension knob. So those are really important if you look at my other shorts.
Yeah.
It had none, and I was teaching myself how to do it without any tension knob.
Yeah.
That did not go well. Rest in peace, custom buzzbait. But most of the time, it would just burst, and it's like, okay, this makes me hate it more. So I ended up buying, not too long ago, I bought it's a Lewis something gold. I don't know, I'll look at the name of it. But I ended up learning how to use it, and I was like, okay, these are actually kind of cool, because once I had a tension knob, I could start actually casting and catching fish.
Yeah.
So, it was nice.
Yeah.
And I taught myself how to use it perfectly. I rarely ever get backlashes.
Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward from there. I went out to California not too long ago. I caught 5 bass.
Wow.
I was going to bring the GoPro, but it
Yeah.
is too much of a challenge.
For me, sometimes, and I feel like I make the stupidest decisions whenever it comes to this, but, I'm going somewhere cool. And I'm like, okay, I want to make a video about this. But then I'm like, okay, actually, I just want to experience it.
That's the thing, is that I'll end up going, and I'll be like, I don't really want to record, because it's too much
just
work.
an extra thing that you have to do.
Yeah, you can't really
While you're
talk to
there.
people freely because people don't
Yeah.
like talking to you when you have a giant camera strapped to your chest.
It's
In case
weird.
you didn't, think about that.
Yeah.
If you ever watch these videos on YouTube, these people walking into stores with GoPros, I'm like, how do you do that?
I don't.
I don't even want to be fishing with a GoPro on my
know.
chest. But
Yeah.
it's not easy. It's just extra.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Then we go to the kayak. So I bought a fishing kayak
Yeah, you got the kayak.
in, I don't know, June, July. I bought it.
I don't even know, dude. This year.
This year went by really fast.
It's
but
weird.
I have only been on it 3 times.
Really?
And
you spent
it
what,
was
$400?
$470, I think, or something. $420. It was something like that. It was over $400. And it took me like 3 months to pay that thing off because I was, I got no money. I don't got no job yet.
Yeah.
So I bought this thing and I was like, okay, I've caught, I think, 4 fish on it.
Mm-hmm.
I caught a couple at Beaver Lake, which is the biggest lake I fished on. It's
Yeah.
the biggest reservoir. I caught 3 smallmouth bass. I brought the GoPro. It just did not. I'm just going to say that. It did not.
It did not.
It was just glitching like crazy. It was super windy.
Yeah.
The waves
So
are
the
pretty
audio
bad.
is just-
I
yeah.
got, but yeah, I caught a smallmouth. Smallmouth. I caught a smallmouth that was as big as the spoon I was fishing with.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind, the spoon's this big.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
It's like your magic. It's like your...
The spoon is magical. The Thomas and Friends gold and red spoon, that thing's magical.
Yeah.
You'll just catch everything on it. I've caught bass on a spoon.
Yeah.
I've caught every single kind of bass that we have here on it.
Yeah.
I've caught Ozark bass. I've caught rock bass, largemouth, smallmouth. I don't know. I know we have striper here.
He's caught everything in Northwest Arkansas.
Pretty
a
much,
spoon.
except for gar. They're next.
I don't...
I think that'll be a bit of a challenge. I have to throw a giant spoon. I
These
think
things are weird, too.
I want to go gar fishing really bad, alligator gar. I think I have to go to Texas for that though. I know we have them in the Arkansas River. We have them in the Arkansas River, but I just don't want to go and fish in the Arkansas River. I've done it once. It was an experience.
Yeah.
I don't know where they
These
are.
are huge.
They are.
Those things...
8 feet.
I wanna
8 to
see-
9 feet. I think the average size is 4 feet. Which, I don't know, 6 feet compared to me? That's a skyscraper. So, that would be a really...
Caused like a little ruckus there.
That's probably right. Let's just leave it like that. Yeah, but 6 feet for me, it's pretty big. I don't know how to fix this.
Yeah, you're good.
Just do that right there. You think it's good? It's probably good. Imagine if we're not in frame anymore. I'm gonna check. All right.
Okay.
But they're big.
Yeah.
Like 6.5
Okay, so
feet.
yeah, it says they generally grow to 6.5 feet long and over 100 pounds.
Yeah, I could catch one of those on a spoon.
We're used to like 2-pound bass in lakes
If we're lucky.
if we're lucky.
But I hope on getting on the kayak
How?
In-
How?
January, February. I want to do winter kayak fishing for trout on a spoon.
On a spoon.
I'll be trolling with the spoon, and I want to see if I can catch
You need to
the lake monsters.
You need to start a
Dude,
thing.
people are saying there's 10-pound trout in there.
What? What lake?
Brittany.
Brittany?
I heard that from the dude who runs the local tackle shop. He said, there's 10-pound trout in there. You got on a spoon.
What?
The spoon is the best lure ever made. I don't know how to say that anymore. But, yeah, I just say if people wanting to start fishing, there are a couple things that you need to
Back
get
to that.
before, just a couple, like 15, 20 minutes back. I'd say the best thing to do to get started with fishing is that you need to get yourself, you spend about $100. I know that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. But what you need to do is that you need to go to Walmart, all right? And you need to buy one of the $9 rod and reel combos
Yeah.
and throw the reel in the trash can. They're awful.
Yeah.
But the rods are pretty good. I used that. I think this year alone, I've broken 5 rods.
Wow.
That's a lot, but I fished a lot.
Yeah.
Well, broke one on a kayak while I was casting, cleaned in half. And one I broke walking. The other one I broke. The one I broke was while you were in the back of the car. You literally saw me snap the rod in half.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was my ultralight. Rest in peace. But yeah, I'd say just spend $100, buy one of those rod and reel combos, throw the reel out, then go walk over to the other side of the store. By that I mean the other side of the aisle, and buy, like, I don't know, a little bit better reel.
Yeah.
Put that on there, and then buy some, Berkeley, I think, is who makes it.
Mm-hmm.
You need to buy some mono. I recommend, like, 8-pound.
Yeah.
If your reel can handle it. Make sure to look at what your rod and reel can handle, because if it doesn't, it'll just tangle and it'll be a nightmare. So I'd say 8 to 10, or like 6
Yeah.
to 10 is probably the best you can do for a round in general. You need to buy some soft plastic worms. I'd say finesse worms are pretty good.
Yeah.
Yum dingers, I like those. I'd buy soft plastic worms, spoon,
Yeah.
because that's good for everything. Ned rigs.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the Z-Mans. Like, those things are...
I start just buying Z-Man now. I can't.
Those things are, like, crazy.
They're expensive, too.
I mean, my dad, I think he got, like, 3 bass in a day down at...
Remember at nighttime we were fishing there?
Oh, yeah.
That was crazy.
Should we tell that story?
No. Save that
should.
for later. Should save that for later. There
Okay.
wasn't really anything that too much happened. It was kind of boring anyway.
Yeah. I don't know what we saw.
We saw a lot.
Was it gar? I don't know. Did they? I don't even know if they stalk.
Start what?
Gar? Did I say gar?
You need help. But yeah, just,
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know how you would spend $100, so maybe I'll lower that to like 50. But yeah, it just really depends how much money you're willing to spend to start off.
Yeah.
If you need to buy the medium light Ozark Trail rod, throw out the reel, buy another reel.
Yeah.
I used a Lose Light Speed something.
Yeah.
And I still use that as my trout, but I have a light rod now that I use for that because...
What would you say is like the number one rod? Like for those guys out there, or girls, that are wanting to like spend the money on a really good rod and reel. Like what would you say would be the best
That's
option?
tough. So there's a lot of good, rod and reels out there. I personally have never gone to spend a ton of money. I think the most I've spent on a rod and reel combo is $80, and that was for my bait caster. I'd say for the best, I don't know.
Would you say that the bait caster is a good, reliable option?
No.
But not for beginners?
No.
No.
I'd say buy a spinning reel and rod. Cheap. That's all you really need is cheap. You don't need to go and spend tons of money to go and start getting out in the water.
Yeah.
Even if you need to, just start, spinning rod and reel.
Yeah.
Even if you need to and you're trying to catch just fish in general, bobber, worms, and hooks.
Yeah.
And, maybe use a weight and throw worms. Live bait works really, really well, but some places they don't allow you to use live bait. So I'd say just if you had to, what I mentioned earlier with the baits, really good. Yeah. So, I don't know, just fishing is a pretty good way to connect with the outdoors, and I'm probably not in frame, but so to get outdoors and to just get started.
Yeah.
It's a good way to connect and
see the
world.
Would you say that you've met any people that...
Man, I've met a lot of older guys, and I'm going to tell you right now, older guys, they have the best advice.
Yeah,
for
they
fishing.
For anything, really.
I mean, yeah, well, sometimes. It depends.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, especially when it comes to, like, video editing. Man, this isn't the 80s anymore, okay? I know they didn't even have computers or something back then. I don't know.
We don't have the Macintoshes anymore.
The Macintosh 3s. And that was an awesome computer.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I just listen to the older guys, and they tell you to use a certain thing because they've been catching it. Use that thing.
That means that, they've been catch.
I learned to use the spoon on my own. But some other dude's like, yeah, you only catch this thing on a spoon out here.
Yeah.
I was just like, you could have told me that earlier, peasant. But, no, that dude is awesome.
Yeah.
He gave me some really good advice. That day was actually the day that I caught all those trout.
Really?
Mm-hmm. He caught his limit and took off. Just, I don't know, 4, 7 or something trout. I don't remember. But yeah, it's an experience. But yeah.
Awesome.
I'd say get out fishing, connect with nature a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem.